Then thoughts. See? Then words. You start talking. You're feeling, bitching. Start thinking that way. Start talking that way. Start acting that way. And boom, down you go. So be aware of the 5 fatal flaws. Sun Tzu's wisdom is very timeless, very useful, very prophetic. Think deeply on this. Your enemy can use this against you, or you can use it against your enemy. Either way, 2 sides of the same coin. If I know someone is arrogant, what will I do to defeat them? Oh, very simple. Make them look bad, insult them. What else could I do if I want to deceive them? I could pump them up. Oh, you're so great. You're so wonderful. You're awesome. Okay? Playing along to that, right? That arrogance. Making them feel stronger. Remember, you just give them more of what they want and they drown themselves. Fear, if someone is afraid. You could plant superstition and paranoia. You could use the takeaway. I'll protect you. Or this might happen if you don't do this. You see how these can be used against you? Or that you can use them against your enemies? Arrogance, fear, anger. If someone is angry, what can I do? What could your enemy do to you if you were angry? Well, they could come along and even make you more angry. And what would that do? That would cause you to make errors in judgment and blow your wad and blow your energy and just shotgun it out there out of anger. Okay? When you're not angry, you punch harder. When you're angry, you're flailing and wailing. But when you're determined and focused, you actually hit much harder. So you could be manipulated by any of these. And if you recognize these in your opponent, each one of them gives you a ploy, a mind attack ploy to storm their fortress. If they're arrogant, puff up their ego. Lend to that. Or threaten it. Arrogance, built on pride, and then when they find out they're not so great, what happens? They're crushed, they're destroyed, they doubt themselves. Fear, give paranoia, give superstition, make them more afraid, offer them safety when they go your way. See? Use that fear. Anger, make them more angry, cause their judgment to fail them. Pride and image consciousness, they're worried about how they look. Vanity. Okay, same sort of thing with arrogance. You can learn how to manipulate them or be manipulated if you're worried about how your appearance in social settings. I could care less about social status. There's one thing that matters to me, and that's character, and I can see right through that like infrared, like x-ray, and all that other stuff is bogus. But this is how people operate. They operate in these flaws. They operate in pride. They operate in image consciousness. You see? So your enemies can use this against you if you're operating in any of them. If you're over arrogant, you're going to blunder. You're not going to train, are you? And if you don't train, oh, I'm the best, and you go in there and you get your butt kicked, right? Okay. Overly sympathetic. If someone's overly sympathetic, that can be used. Don't you care? Oh, the poor children, we need to pass this law. Do you see how these are all used against you in every field of life, and how you can use it as well? So you should be constantly vigilant of these weaknesses within yourself and these weaknesses within others. Looking, are they jiriki? Okay, that means, are they self-thinking, self-reliant, independent thinkers, or are they tariki? Remember we talked about discerning. We talked about discerning and destroying. This is discerning. You look, are they independent or are they dependent? Then, what are the weaknesses? Of the 5 fatal flaws, which ones are they operating in most? And most people have a predetermined disposition to be afraid or arrogant or prideful or angry. Like a guy who has an easy temper, even from a little child. They're dispositions. It's not set in stone. And if you can learn volitional control right now, just imagine what you can do. Oh, you'll be such a strong fortress. Think of this right now. This is $1 million strategy right here. Feigning one of these weaknesses. Making your enemy think you're afraid. Making your enemy think that you're angry. How could you use anger? Anger is the most common deception. Did you know that? Anger or hurt. Someone will act angry like you wronged them, or they'll act hurt like you hurt their feelings. Why? Because it draws out sympathy. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. What did I do? Oh, I'm so sorry. See? So when you learn how you can use these strategically, become angry, become hurt, become sympathetic, you can feign. Feign means fake, okay? Fake any of these to deceive your enemy, and look out, because your enemy or your opponent may also be doing it to you. Remember, inside the act of submission is the counterattack. Please don't hurt me. Oh, there you go, your eyes, you see? Inside the act of submission is the counterattack. Your opponent may be feigning. That's why you need that intuition to know if someone's really angry. And that quiet little voice, that gap will tell you, are they really angry? Is not only what they're saying, but what their energy is saying, what their emotions are saying. Are they all congruent? And the best of them will still have a flaw. You'll still be able to tell. You see, when you go into a movie theater, you go buy some popcorn and you sit down and watch a movie, and you know that's an actor up there on the screen. So you suspend your disbelief. You look up there and you say, I know that that's John Wayne, or that's Jackie Chan, or that's Bruce Willis up there, and I know he's not really angry, he's acting. You know that. You know everything you see up there is really done in front of cameras. And that it's all just a movie played out by actors. But what do you do so you can enjoy the movie? You wouldn't be able to participate if you went in there perfectly objective, would you? You look and go, well, none of this is real. Why should I even be here? And you know, that's a good question too. Why do you spend your time in front of a television screen watching sitcoms, watching fiction, when you can be educating yourself like you are right now? That's where the time should be invested. But getting back to suspending disbelief. You go in there and you suspend your disbelief so that you can enjoy the movie. You can get emotionally involved in the excitement of the action movie, or the drama, or the sorrow, or the fear of the horror movie. You go in there and suspend your disbelief. You suspend it. You hit pause on your BS detector because you know consciously that it's just a movie and none of it is real. Now, they're all actors. And good actors have the ability to get you emotionally involved. So you go in there and you suspend your disbelief. Well, you can now look and see the same thing happens in programming. Remember I talked about automations, automatons. So you're trained to suspend your disbelief, especially around certain people that you've been involved with, and relationships have been established. Remember, sit down, do this, do that. There's an establishment. So you can take volitional control back. Does that make sense? And reestablish any relationship. Boom! Like that little button that goes boom and whites everything out. So if you have a relationship where you've been disrespected or mistreated, first thing you should do is, if you can, get out. Just simply, whoosh, that's it. However, let's say it's a commitment, like a marriage or a loved one or a relative where you're not being abused, but you're not being respected. Then you just hit that button and reestablish everything by just remaining in motion. They say sit down, they do this, they push your buttons, and instead of reacting, you remain in the state of Zanchin. I recognize what you're doing, of Mushin. I'm not going to get emotionally upset. See? And that's Makoto. I have a purity of purpose. What is your purpose? My purpose is to live fully in truth. Therefore, I cannot be emotionally manipulated. Now, you don't need to say these things, but these are your foundation blocks. So when you go into a theater and suspend your disbelief, you can enjoy it. Now, when you're dealing with people, they will have signals and clues that they may be feigning, they may be acting, any of these, in order to manipulate you. So you can feign, others will feign, and you can detect it. Remember I talked about that bubble rising to the surface. So you can detect when they are feigning. Just leave the gap there and let your intuition just come forward. And I showed you a few techniques and strategies a while back, didn't I, about just how to do that. See, when we look at all of life and the value in this concept, there's a constant interplay of hard and soft. Sometimes you have to be the iron hand, sometimes you have to be the velvet glove. Now, father of Aikido, Mori Yushiba, I don't know if I'm spelling this right, and I always try to cite sources when I know who said it. He said that 8 forces sustain creation. Creation. By design, baby. First of all, movement and stillness. Secondly, solidification. Love my handwriting, my spelling. Solidification and fluidity. Extension and contraction. And then unification and division. Reading this off my laptop because, oh, my back. I didn't memorize it for you, so here it is on my laptop. Now, when you see, remember, when you understand the root, then you understand all of its blossoming. Movement and stillness. Think about it, yin and yang. And they're constantly interacting, aren't they? There are times when you're moving and times when you're still. Solidification and fluidity. Extension, contraction. Unification and division. Have you noticed Now, I got these from Yeshiva, Aikido Concepts, but have you noticed that all of these forces are forces of water, aren't they? Be like water, right? All of these forces, movement, stillness, it can be solid like ice, it can be fluid, certainly. Water can extend, right? And it can contract. It can dry up, or high tide, low tide, right? Unification and division. It can come together in an ocean, or it can divide into several rivers, lakes, and streams. Outgoing channels, you see? So, all of life is within this. And getting back to what I was just talking about, the 5 fatal flaws, how would you recognize this? Because in each of these attributes, you should see this in everything. Is someone overextending, for example, or are they contracting? Is there energy coming out? And is it forced coming out, or is it contracting? See what I'm saying? So you can read energy with these 8 forces. Are they unified or are they divided? Does he mean it or doesn't he? You're divided. A house divided shall fall. You will fall because you're not congruent. You're divided. I see division in your mind. See how that works? Okay? So, is he moving or still? He may be standing still, but what's going on? Is he thinking or is he stuck? Is he solid or fluid? Look out for the fluid opponent. The time to be solid is a moment of impact. I'm very fluid up until the moment of impact. And solid as a rock. You see? Does this make sense? This is not some vague, esoteric concept. This is the real deal, and all of this applies to real life. Baggage, stress. What does it mean exactly? We talked about that, right? Starting with a clean slate. Find stress. Remember when we discern to destroy an opponent? Find stress. It's a classic ninja strategy. Find stress and add to it. You can push people to their breaking point, and it isn't always just screaming, yelling, howling at the moon kind of stress. Sometimes it can be subtle, like depression. Make someone want to break and cry. Likewise, find stress in yourself and remove it. Stress is a weakness. Think about it. When you take a rope and you pull a rope and there's a point where that's stress and it starts to tear and become unraveled, okay? Or stress on a tire or on a wing. Stress is dangerous in these physical applications. And likewise, stress is dangerous in you. So, you want to find stress and add to it in your enemy. You want to reduce it in yourself. You sit quietly, you go through your inventory, the 5 fatal flaws, your check sheet of Makoto, clarity of purpose, Mushin, empty mind, Zanshin, vigilant awareness, and Satori is spontaneous enlightenment. You go through everything we've talked about here quietly in a room, by yourself, phone turned off, television off, radio off, and you find your stress. Look for those vulnerabilities in your mind fortress and remove them, okay? Now also, if you don't find stress in your enemy, create stress. In a sense, that's what they do, isn't it? They create stress, some sort of event, some sort of timeline. Pressure. Aren't you going to call me? Pressure. Don't you want to buy it now? Pressure. Don't you love me? Pressure. That's all creating stress, okay? So you find stress and add to it. If you don't find any, you create it. Now, likewise, everything I'm telling you that you can apply to your opponent also applies in reverse. They're looking to do the same thing to you, even though they don't know it. So a competitor who's going into the ring in a fighting championship, he could find stress in his opponent. Maybe he knows that the guy's having problems in his marriage. So he spreads rumors that his wife is sleeping around, and he makes sure that those rumors reach his opponent's ears the night before the fight or the morning of the fight. Make sense? Okay? Or creating stress, same principle. Now in reverse, since you know that the attempt to create stress in you is an attempt to control your mind. That could be towards or away from, the carrot or the stick. So, if someone is trying to, for example, here's a carrot one, here's a towards stress. You'll want this now because you're going to make money. Buy this stock right now. Okay? Think of all the great things that you'll be able to do. Okay? Now, none of this is good or bad. A lot of times we need this kind of thing to make a decision. But when you see how it's done, then you have volitional control over your choices. So, a going towards kind of stress would be act now. Take hold of this. Opportunity. Temptation. Right? He dangles the opportunity of a job promotion. They dangle the opportunity of financial gain. She dangles the opportunity of romantic involvement. Positive stress. And we have negative stress that take away from, which we call the stick, the pain. Do this or you'll miss out.